Ladies and gentlemen, it is Sunday, the 5th day of May, 2013, and Deep Purple is bringing us in today. Smoke on the water, fire in the sky. There is certainly smoke on the water and fire in the sky in and around Syria. Syria, the ancient country that's had Jews, Christians, and then Muslims living in it. Jews living there for 3,000 plus years, Christians living there for 2,000 years or so. Now, about a third of the country or more is under Al-Qaeda control. They fly Al-Qaeda flags, and they are being armed with heavy weapons. Heavy weapons. Heavy missiles, medium-sized artillery, grenade launchers, and anti-aircraft weapons. And they have been shooting up aircraft trying to take off the international airport in Damascus. Israel has engaged in another wave of bombings across the country, bombing military bases and other strategic locations. And again, ladies and gentlemen, when I sit here and I see this, it's like the Twilight Zone, because this is not my opinion. When Paul Watson came out with the headline, Document Cam Please for TV viewers, again, it's a syndicated radio show, but we're streaming video at Infowars.com/listen, and, of course, also at PrisonPlanet.tv. Israel helps its Al-Qaeda ally with attack on Syria. Tel Aviv emboldens Western-backed jihadists. Now, the Council on Foreign Relations, the LA Times, all of them, the New York Times have had to admit, we've been reporting it for 26, 27 months, but over the last year, they've had to admit, yes, the West in Libya and now in Syria is importing actual Al-Qaeda, people that call themselves Al-Qaeda out of Saudi Arabia. I guess if Saudi Arabia is involved in another attack like 9/11, maybe we'll just attack Syria. I mean, this is kind of, or maybe Canada. That's what this has turned into. That's how stupid the corporate mainstream media thinks you are out there. And so that's our top story today. As the end of a week when the Obama administration signaled its intention to send heavy weaponry to Al-Qaeda-led Syrian rebels, Israel launched airstrikes inside Syrian territory that will only serve to embolden jihadist militants who have openly espoused their desire to destroy both Israel and the United States. We have links to videos where they were in Libya a year ago or 2 years ago or so, and they said with signs on BBC, next stop Syria, next stop Washington. And Washington is like, that's right, have more heat-seeking missiles from Benghazi. The ambassador didn't like it, so he got hit. And they're saying, don't worry, here's all the weapons you could ever want. People are saying, well, what does that mean? There's a global crime syndicate that controls NATO and the major Western governments, and it is using Al-Qaeda to overthrow secular governments that are not bothering anybody and are creating stability in the Middle East because they want divide and conquer. Since the time of Julius Caesar, in his book he wrote, The Battle for Gaul, it's a collection of letters he wrote back to the regent of the Senate, they describe how to divide and conquer and play groups against each other. And I've talked to a lot of good old boys that go, yeah, we'll fund the Arabs to kill each other. Let me explain something to you. The globalists hate you more than they hate the Arabs. They hate anybody that's been sovereign, anybody that's been independent, anybody that they don't control. This is not America doing this. This is the global crime syndicate that has seized control of our government doing it, and they have kicked out more than 20 members of the Joint Chiefs and their adjuncts just in the last 3 years, including the head of CENTCOM repeatedly and the head of the Mediterranean Fleet, and the list goes on, because they said no to giving heat-seeking missiles by the thousands to Al-Qaeda. And the decision has been made at the Club of Rome and the Bilderberg Group and the Council on Foreign Relations and publicly in France and England and at the NATO Council and the UN Secretary General. The decisions have been made in Washington that you are so stupid that they can put Al-Qaeda in Libya and Syria and Al-Qaeda-like, give control to the Muslim Brotherhood, created by British intelligence, taken over by Hitler, turned over to Western intelligence, the CIA, in 1946 after World War II. And that's what I'm telling you. Then when Al-Qaeda shoots down U.S. and European jetliners, we will be on the news when this happens going, hey, our government funded Al-Qaeda. Here they are at Benghazi giving them the 10,000 plus heat seekers. It's like 18,000 missiles total, 10,000 heat seekers. That's been in the news. And when all this happens, it'll be all over the headlines. Alex Jones, the scum. Alex Jones, the garbage. Alex Jones, the anti-American, lies and says our government gave the missiles to Al-Qaeda. When Benghazi happened months ago, I had Wayne Madsen, who's been to Libya over and over again, formerly with the NSA, on. I had Colonel Anthony Schaefer, who ran Black Ops in the Pentagon and could have killed bin Laden repeatedly but was told to stand down, on the show. I had Webster Griffin Tarpley. I had countless experts. I had Dr. Steve Pachinik, former head of Black Ops for the State Department, over the CIA. I had them all on, and they all concurred. And Schaefer made statements saying he agreed it was basically looked like a hit on the ambassador. And he got so much heat, he asked that we walk that back. We need to get him back on, by the way. But the point is that here it is. Benghazi names of whistleblower, witnesses revealed. So they're now trying to go after the whistleblowers, and they now put people in jail who report federal crimes. Obama has done things nobody's ever done before. It's just incredible. The Benghazi talking points and how they were changed to obscure the truth. Weekly Standard. Official. CBS News. We knew Benghazi was terror attack from the get-go. Yeah, they had 2 Predator drones and a C-130 out of Italy over it the whole time it happened. It was on record the Al-Qaeda group. The West brought in Al-Qaeda, more than 60,000 of them, into Benghazi over the border of Egypt. And Mubarak wouldn't go along with this. That's why they took Mubarak, Hosni Mubarak, the U.S.-backed dictator, 31 years out. See, it's a chain reaction. Egypt borders in North Africa. To the west is Libya and its capital of Tripoli. Next to that's Tunisia. And so he wouldn't go along with that. He said, I'm not going to help that. So they basically arrested him, drugged him up for the fake trial. He had a stroke, remember? That's why he couldn't be there. Kind of like the other, Patsy Bomber in Boston. Gets out of the boat, no blood. Next, his throat's been cut out. But he confessed to us, though you'll never hear him talk. I mean, just the essence of authoritarianism. And again, the globalists are running these people. So Mubarak says 2+ years ago, I'm not part of this. Boom, he disappears. Boom, they bring in 50 to 60,000 of these jihadis, actual Al-Qaeda, out of Qatar, Saudi Arabia, other areas with weapons, out of Egypt, into Libya. Again, no fan of Gaddafi, but he was working with the West the last 8 years before that. It was investing his money in major Western banks, invested his money with Sarkozy. That's why we predicted he'd be arrested later, which they've now gone after him. So he basically financed Sarkozy into office. But the issue was that once they were there, in Benghazi, it came out day one, that the group that killed him was the Benghazi security force hired and funded by NATO and the CIA. They had a weapons cache at that torture center. And so everybody on the ground, Navy SEALs, CIA, at a torture base a half-mile away, they were ordered, hundreds of U.S. troops, do not go help. Don't leave your torture dungeon. That continued under Obama. That's now come out. Just stand down. For 8 hours, they watched 5 security people plus 2 SEALs that didn't follow orders hold off more than 300 Al-Qaeda sent to murder the ambassador and blow the place up. And by the way, I told you that months ago. It's now come out in mainstream news. Weekly Standard, CBS News, you name it. They think you're too stupid to even understand what you're reading. Okay? 8 hours. The fleet was just 30 miles away off the coast. They sat there and watched it happen.